Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to All in Texas Football. Oh, we got an all-star crew for you for the Friday live stream. It's a great day. Happy Juneteenth. USA up right now 2-0 on Australia. And John Meredith decided that Texas would be the place that he will take his talent to earlier this morning. So we got a lot to get into on the show. This live stream brought to you by good friends at Garage Beer. We'll tell you more about them later on. Shout out to our friends at Hayes City and Prize Picks. We'll talk about them later on. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton, the newest member of the On Texas Football fam, my man Jordan Scruggs, and of course the national champion. He's a lifetime Longhorn, but he's also a national champion. My man Marcus Myers joining us. So we got an all-star team. What's up, gentlemen? How you feeling?
Great.
Jerry, were you at the airport? You and Jordan at the airport? Just you?
Yeah, not just me and Hank. Myself and
Jordan,
Hank.
you went to Jordan, you're at the announcement where Meredith made the announcement, correct?
Yeah. I was down in Burleson.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's start before we get to official visitors, and we'll get to that. Let's talk about the John Meredith commitment first, gentlemen, because it was huge. It was big. I thought Longhorn fans were confident. Jordan, I talked to you earlier this week. Felt like you were confident. CJ was confident that it would go in the Longhorns' favor. But Jerry, I hadn't talked to you yet, so I'll throw it to you first. And I want to hear from the panel here. But what are your thoughts about John Meredith deciding Texas would be his home, and what does that do for the complexion of the 2027 class?
Yeah, well, it's huge for the class. I mean, this is the first guy Will Muschamp talked to after he was hired. Mark Orfrey did a great job with this recruitment. Wow. People around John Meredith say he did a great job with this recruitment. I think Will Muschamp being hired and putting his personal touch and showing John Meredith how much, you're the first guy I contacted when I got the job. He can forever say that. And how much effort he put into that with Mark Orfan, and Steve Sarkisian did his part, obviously, as well. But I think that this alone makes it a huge commitment for Texas. I mean, wherever we can go over the rankings and all sorts of things like that. But the fact that Mark Orfan had already done a really good job per source very close to this recruitment. And then when Will Muschamp came in and kind of tag teamed that recruitment with him, look, I mean, I'm not speaking ill of the guy who's no longer here, but PK wasn't a guy that recruited a lot. I mean, Will Muschamp came in, and him and Mark Orfrey got after it from day one, recruiting John Meredith, and I think that was very impactful in this recruitment, guys. I think what Will Muschamp did in this recruitment, illustrating what John Meredith can do, how he can do it, and how soon he can potentially do it with Texas, was really big in this recruitment. I'll be honest, I'm not sure they necessarily win this if Will Muschamp's not the DC, because I do think that is big in these recruitments of the top guys when the defensive coordinator is very involved in those recruitments.
Oh, nice stuff, Jerry. Jordan, I'll throw it to you next, because obviously your boots on the ground there for the announcement. What can you tell us? Because earlier there was some technical issues in the Wi-Fi, so now folks want to hear from you. What are your thoughts overall, your experience when you were there and getting a chance to talk to them?
Yeah, I think it might be the most on-time commitment ceremony I've ever been to. So shout out to ESPN, Pat McAfee, for that. It went just as scheduled. So that was pretty good. I got to talk to him a few minutes after he made the decision. He credited the development in Austin, the relationship with Mark Orfrey, Will Muschamp, Steve Sarkisian as the main reasons he ended up at Texas. And, I mean, he also said it was a really tough choice. A&M was on him a lot harder, a lot earlier, and that made it a lot harder of a decision for him. So ended up choosing the good guys. He's a Longhorn now, but was not an easy decision to make. And he also said he didn't make the decision until late last night. Little differing from what we heard on our side, but he did say last night. But nonetheless, I mean, this is a huge win. Vince Young and Arch Manning are the only Longhorns rated higher than John Meredith in the modern recruiting era. Wow. He's the third highest rated player to ever commit to the Longhorns. Wow. And the only two ranked ahead of him are Vince Young and Arch Manning. It kind of puts it in perspective, the level of prospect we're talking about here, how special he is. And also, I mean, this is a huge head-to-head win over A&M. Yes, A&M might have the number one class. Yes, they might be spending $20 million this year. But who was their number one target throughout the entire cycle, regardless of position? It was John Meredith, and he's going to play his college football in Austin. and the Aggies will be seeing him every single Black Friday for the next 3 years. So, going to be a really fun one to watch as it continues, but a great get for Texas, a tremendous get for Texas. Likely to be the class headliner come December, kind of already is now if we're talking about rankings.
I'll tell you guys, and I'm going to ask Marcus and I'm going to ask Rod, you guys, same question. But when we play that graphic again, the picture pops up in the bottom right. Mom liked Texas. Bottom right there, Mom was very happy today. Mm-hmm. Mama matters in recruiting. Mama liked Texas. I was told multiple times. All right, Rod, Marcus, question for y'all. Who does he remind y'all of any past Texas cornerback? That's 6'2", 178, long arms. Y'all have all watched him. Does he remind y'all of anybody? Is there anybody? I mean, maybe Cedric Griffin from a frame standpoint.
That was going to be mine for the frame. I was going to go to Rod for the eye on how his actual game is and who he would compare him to. But frame-wise, with those long arms and the range that he has, reminds me a lot of Sid G.
Yeah, no, I like that because it's hard to find. I mean, he's a legit 6'2", right?
Yes, legit 6'2". Legit 6'2's off.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had Cedric. I think Sid G was probably there. We hadn't had many guys that's been legit 6'2" playing corner for Texas. Like, think about how many guys. I mean, even my man Jam. Shout out Quinn Jammer's birthday, I believe. My former teammate. Mm-hmm. Jam was big. Like, he was huge, actually. 36-inch pythons had, I mean, just guns, dude, and they were long arms. But I don't know if he ended up being 6'2". I think he was trying to push 6'1". You know what I mean? On a good day when he was doing some yoga or something like that. I'm trying to think of, like, Westbrook was a big corner, and I don't know if Westbrook was 6'2". Right?
I don't think so. I think they're both 6 foot even.
Yeah, I just said Sid G was long. I don't know if Sid G was 6'2", but his frame.
No, he was 6'1". He was 6'1", but he had that long arm frame. Yeah.
In terms of playing style, how physical this young man is, his drive on the football, he gets out of his break, twitchy getting out of his breaks. That's why he plays the quick game and intermediate game really well. Man, honestly, with a guy that kind of frame, actually, that's crazy. Jam wouldn't be a bad one, because Jam didn't have. And I'm not saying that this young man John Meredith has stiff hips, but I do think he's really patient as a player and probably really cocky and arrogant as a player too. So I would love to see him in a real game type situation and see him going up against like a Jermaine Bishop or somebody like that, to see how if his hips flip quickly, getting in terms of the covering the run, turn and run ability. And because that Jam didn't have loose hips, because Jam was kind of a safety, but Jam had that physicality where you'll watch the tape and this dude will run through a blocker on a screen. Like once he identifies the target, he will look. Instead of most DBs are kind of, Marcus, they'll sit there like, all right, no, I'll square it up.
Yeah.
I got my position, I got my leverage. I'm playing outside in. This dude will run right through the lead blocker, the escort blocker. Like Jam would do. I remember Jam would doing stuff like that. And we're like, who does that? It's like now you listen to Jam you look at him on Twitter and you see if you go, okay, yeah, that's the kind of dude that would do that. And Westbrook had that kind of game back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And he played in a different, kind of an old school era, but he had and there's a physicality to John Mayer's game that is just so appealing.
Hey, while we were going through this, the tallest corner I think that has been to the NFL Combine that came out of Texas, the guy who I guess frame wise he might be closest to is Holton Hill, guys.
Oh,
okay. I forgot about Holton.
Holton Hill was shade under 6'2" at the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
He had the long arms.
Yeah, out of Houston Lamar.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he ended up going undrafted, correct?
Yeah, because off the field.
I want to say
that was off the field stuff.
I want to say it was the 49ers that looked at him too.
I think he's still in the league. It seemed like he was with the Vikings for a while.
Yeah, I remember him with the Vikings.
Was it the Vikings this week? I thought, okay.
I can tell. I tell you another frame he's similar to is Curtis Brown, guys. I think Curtis is not as tall, but I think the streamline, the way they're built, he may be an inch and a half taller version of Curtis Brown physically.
Yeah, they do have Holden Hills at 6'2". That's a good one. And I was wrong. He's with Minnesota from 2018 to 2020, the Colts in 21 with the Cowboys and the Bengals. And then he's been out of the league since then with the DC Defenders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2024.
Okay. Some a little CFL ball.
Ryan,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Jerry, there was something you and Jordan hit on that I just wanted to circle back to. Like, again, I'm kind of notorious for, in large, not really caring about rankings, right? But for those high end guys, I mean, think about that. Like, for whatever you think of rankings, people that have evaluated this young man are putting him above what Colin Simmons was rated coming out of high school, what Bijan was rated coming out of high school. Like, any number of guys that we've seen play to a really high level and have really high expectations of on the 40, there's only been 2 guys that, have had higher. And so I think that's certainly telling. He's, I guess, certainly the highest rated defensive recruit that Texas has ever had. And so if anything, it speaks to his ceiling. Now, once he gets on campus, he has to be able to put it all together. And we know there's still some stuff he has to kind of figure out going into his high school season. Rod, I agree with you, man. You've said a number of times, like, you would like to see the young man play somewhere and not just sit out. And my hope is he would do the same. But in terms of, his potential, it's up there with anybody that we've seen to this point.
Yep. Jordan, how many games did you say that he's been actually playing or like focus on corner and not playing all these other positions? How many games you said it was?
So he has 24 games of cornerback under his belt. His freshman year, most people don't know this. I've said it a few times in recent videos, streams, but his freshman year was actually at Arlington Lamar, and he played sub-varsity. I don't know if it was JV or freshman, but he played QB on Arlington Lamar's varsity team that year. Were 2 freshmen in the same class. Trent Yancey, now a Purdue commit, national top 300 prospect, now at Duncanville. And Braylon Williams, a 3-star linebacker who stayed at Arlington Lamar. He's now at SMU. So he was with those guys. He ended up moving, transferred to Euless Trinity going into his sophomore year, showed up there, and that staff said, "You're playing corner." And it changed his life. He went from a quarterback to a cornerback and is now the number 1 corner in the country 2 years later. And one of those really, like, I don't know, Jerry, have you ever seen a kid like this where they have quite literally 2 years of experience playing this position and are still the unanimous number 1 prospect and still have, despite not having a ton of experience, a really high floor and a really high ceiling given the physical specs?
Yeah, I think one of the things with John that's really been big for his ranking, despite not having a lot of starts, because he's had some injured time in there as well, is he's shined in 7-on-7. So whether that should factor into a ranking as much or not, he has really been a star in 7-on-7. When you go, like, he was just at a state qualifier at A&M, and there's a tweet of him breaking on a football that you just like, that's just elite stuff. Sticks his foot in the ground and breaks on the ball. And the other thing was he played in the Under Armour All-America game this past season, because it's a junior-senior game now, and I was at a couple of those practices, and he performed really well, whether that be in the practice setting, whatever there, went a lot of eyes. Everybody that ranks prospects was there. So they got to see John Meredith in some one-on-ones versus the best receivers in the country that were at that game. So I think in all the settings, he's shown a skill set. He trains with Coach Flight up in Dallas, who does a great job. Same 7-on-7 team with Bryson Thrower. So I think any setting he's been at, he's looked so fluid. And Coach Flight's done a good job with him too, by the way. But I think the Under Armour game this year kind of stamped it, those practices for him, because that was a best on best scenario. And he had some really good coverage days there.
Yep. Yeah, because there's not a lot of negatives to his game and his skill set. There's very few. And like I said, once you see him in person and you see him up against high-level competition, that should clear up any uncertainties you may have or any questions marks you may have. The few that you may have after being able to evaluate them. All right, let's thank sponsors, and then we'll get some questions. Throw your questions, comments out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. We'll probably be around for another 20 minutes or so. So if you got questions, get them in. Let's thank our sponsors. Let's thank our friends over at Garage Beer. We appreciate them being our lead sponsor for our live stream. The garage is always open, but especially to get the weekend started. No better way to do it than with our friends over at Garage Beer. As a matter of fact, I was shopping the other day and saw some Garage Beer at the grocery store. So the word is getting out about Garage Beer. It's everywhere now, and it's fantastic. One of my favorite light beers, only 95 calories. It's crisp. It's refreshing. Beer-flavored beer. They're not trying to impress you with the fancy ingredients or their rich tradition and history or their secret brewing techniques. They know all you care about is that it's great tasting and that it's only 95 calories. Checks both of those boxes. So check it out anywhere you do your grocery shopping or where you buy your spirits, your liquor, your beer. Don't forget about Garage Beer. The garage is always open. Thank you very much to our friends over at Garage Beer. And while we're thanking sponsors, let's thank our friends over at Prize Picks as well. Folks, Prize Picks is just a fantastic way to improve your sports viewing experience. You got baseball in full swing. You got WNBA rolling. The World Cup, of course, right now. Still USA. So there's a lot going on, and Prize Picks adds more fun to it. Now, every possession matters. Every at-bat matters. You're locked in from start to finish. You're not just watching anymore. You've got juice in the game. Best part is it's really easy. You can pick more or less on player stats. That's it. So now whatever you're into, say you're into the World Cup, you can go with World Cup, or you can mix and match that across different sports: basketball, baseball, golf, even esports, if that's your thing. That's what I love about our friends at Prize Picks. They let you get really, really creative about how you want to pick. And right now it's the best time to do it. It's available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now is a perfect time. Download the app right now. Use the code HMA. That's the code HMA. Play $5 and they'll give you $50 in lineups instantly. That's the code HMA. 5 gets you 50. It's just that simple. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, play with our friends over at Prize Picks. Yeah, they let you do everything over at Prize Picks. Love that. All right. Thank you very much to our friends at Prize Picks. All right, let's jump into a couple of questions here. I know we got some lined up. Appreciate you guys. How about this one? Thomas is greedy. Thomas wants to know, who is our next commitment?
Man.
It's been like it's been like an hour, a couple of hours or so.
I know. Boy, John, congrats, John, on your commitment. Your 15 minutes are over. Next week, there's a number of guys. Here we go. Izzy Hammonds later will go to Oklahoma State. The 23rd, Kyron Brown could go Texas way. The 25th, Neiman Lawrence, 2028 quarterback, who's South Florida coaches that I know are extremely high on him. A couple think he's more talented than Diabell. We'll see. That looks good for Texas. Junior Tupou, if Texas can survive the Alabama visit this weekend, that one could look good for Texas. Dylan McGee, toss-up. He's now at DeSoto. Montre Jackson probably looks good for Texas, although SMU, that Dylan McGee and Montre Jackson, one thing to note on those guys is SMU's going after one corner in this class. So I think they will have a bigger NIL offer for one of those two. And I think that could put Texas in a precarious position there. But I think realistically, I think Texas will probably split those guys. I bet with SMU, I bet either Dylan McGee or Jackson, one goes to SMU, one goes to Texas as of today. So we'll see. So Texas can have a good week next week. We're waiting on some other guys. Obviously, when will a Marcus Faca to announce? We believe he's an Ohio State lean, but Texas is not giving up, guys. They are staying in the fight there. And I think we'll see a couple other dates pop up for commitment dates coming up. Some guys last week, and look, guys are setting these July decision dates, but then they're coming back off of those and announcing earlier, like both of the Mississippi defensive linemen, Ben Javarius Shoemaker, who's an absolute stud, Mitchell Turner out of Louisville. Those guys are saying early, mid-second week in July type OVs. We'll see if it goes on that long. There's some guys thinking July, but these dates are moving up and up because a lot of these NIL offers have an expiration date. So it's kind of changing the game a little bit. But we think Texas could have a pretty good week next week. So tune in. So that's what I would say.
All right. Speaking of Texas, and obviously them being in good standing with some of these top recruits, let's talk about the official visits that are happening this weekend. Jerry has already spent some time over at Austin International, getting the skinny and getting the 411 on the top recruits coming in. So who's going to be in town this weekend, guys? I'll throw it to you first, Jordan, since you're with us today. We appreciate you. Who's in town that appeals to you as a top guy for Texas in 2027?
Yeah, definitely. I brought this up a day or two ago, but I'm always going to say Landon Williams-Callis, currently on pace to break every single rushing record that exists in the state of Texas. You look on that list, top 10 rushing yards all time. 7 of those dudes got drafted. So pretty good company. His cousins are James and Jaquiz Rogers. If anyone remembers them, they are who pretty much put Lamar Consolidated and to some degree Oregon State football on the map. Jaquiz Rogers is also an undersized guy like Landon is. Landon about 5'7.5", 5'8". Jaquiz was 5'5.5" at the combine, got drafted, played in the league for 9 years. If he can do it, Landon can do it too. This one I expected to come down to Texas, Texas A&M, SMU, and Oregon. A&M and Oregon have kind of been the longtime favorites here, but Texas, they've always had staying power. Just the problem they've dealt with in this recruitment is Landon Williams-Callis has been recruited since his freshman year and has had 3 different Texas running backs coaches recruit him to Texas since his sophomore year. That's not an easy thing to overcome, regardless of how much money you might be throwing at him. So that's one I'm super intrigued by. It's an expected summer decision, so they'll get to leave the last impression before that. I also love the commits that are back in town. You have 4 of them. 2 we don't have to worry about at all. Ty Newton, the QB, Cade Hogg, the linebacker. Both of those guys are locked in. Those are done. They're signing with Texas come December. Easton Royal, Carnell James, not quite the same. Easton Royal has been committed since November, taking visits all over the country. Now kind of down to Texas, Florida, LSU, despite being a Texas commit. And then Carnell James committed to Texas in December, ended up getting a bunch of offers this spring after he hit the showcase circuit. Schools got verified times, verified athleticism on him for the first time. And that kind of shot him up into a national prospect. Notre Dame, LSU have emerged as the ones trying to unseat Texas. And we'll see if Texas can get him to lock it in after this week. And I think the Longhorns, if he wants to be there, they're happy to have him. But if Notre Dame, LSU starts going over the top, getting super aggressive with the rest of their DB class, with the rest of the DBs they need to land in this class, I'm not sure what Texas will do. So I'd say Landon Williams-Callis, and then those 2 commits that are kind of on the fringe, Easton Royal, Greedy James. That's where my eyes are at this weekend.
All right. Thanks for that, Jordan. Appreciate it. Jerry, any of those official visitors to you that stands out for any particular reason or that you're keeping your eye on?
Yeah, not that we did not that was anything we hadn't talked about or known, but Monshun Sales gets off the plane today. Hank and I were there, and as I've said before, he's legitimate 6'5". Like, you don't have to worry about, hey, he's listed at 6'5". This guy's 6'3.5". No, he looks like he could come off the bench for a Division I basketball team as a guard. I mean, he's a big guy. He's a legit 6'5". Okay. Tyler Alexander, I've seen him twice in person. I've been to Palm Beach Central twice. Why wouldn't you go to Palm Beach if there's a good football recruit, which I have been? There's Sales, by the way. Tyler Alexander looks big every time I see him in person, and he's got skinny ankles. So 6'5", 315, 320. With skinnier ankles, that's why Georgia, Notre Dame, and Texas are on him. Big dude. I mean, that guy's just is a big guy. He's going to be a 330, 335 pound. And if you look at him, he's 315, and look at his upper body, guys. He's a typical state of Florida recruit. They don't have the same setup for high school football that Texas and Georgia have.
Yeah,
the kids coming out of Florida are more raw. Look at this kid, and if he were to pick Texas, we don't know where he's going yet. But if you're to pick Texas, think about how different he's going to look in a year. And at 330 pounds, is what he'll be. He's a big dude. He came on this visit with his mom and a longtime coach of his. Sales with about 3 other people, one of those being his mom. And that's why it's hard for people to say, well, where's Sales going to go? Anybody that's projecting him anywhere right now, the one thing about Texas is a total wild card recruitment. This is his mom's first time on campus. He's been on campus once. His mom wasn't on the trip. So anybody out here saying, well, Texas doesn't have a chance or Texas has a great chance, I don't see how anybody could say Texas has a great chance when mom's never been on campus until today. You really don't have a great shot at recruitment if the mom's never been on campus before in a lot of these recruitments. So that's why it's a wild card recruitment to me. By the way, I got to bring something up. Hey, Jordan, I got to do this to make Rod and Marcus feel old. because I like making them feel old. Jesus always 97 said, "Are we recruiting Jammer's sons? Any other legacy players' sons?" Kason Jammer committed to Duke.
Yeah, he's a Duke.
I think he'll go do great things at Duke, by the way. Great things. They just had a 5'9", under-recruited defensive back from Beaumont United that just got drafted last year. The big boys passed him up. He wasn't tall enough.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read off some names in the 2020. We're not going to go in depth on these, but I'm just going to read some names in the 2028 class. This class probably has more name ID than any class in a while. So widely considered the best or top right now. I don't think it'll end that way. Top 2028 prospect in Texas is at Shadow Creek High School, Jalen Adai, son of Joseph Adai.
Wow.
Everybody knows Joseph Adai, obviously. Went to Sharpstown, the LSU, to the Colts, Super Bowl rings.
Isn't Brandon LaFell's son there too, though? Brandon LaFell's son's at Shadow Creek.
Yeah, he's a different class, though. He's 29.
Okay.
He's even younger. You're all 28. All 28s.
Okay.
CJ Whaley, Chris Whaley's son, is a stud. Will be a top 50 kid in the country. Tom Ball High running back Ian Thomas is the son of the deceased Rodney Thomas from A&M.
Wow.
One of the great high school running backs of all time in Texas. Micah Rhodes, obviously at Klein Oak. Uncle, I believe, is Bobby Rhodes, who had 12 and a half sacks at Texas. So big family connects there.
Grandfather.
Dylan Mitchell, the track star. His dad, obviously, Bobby Mitchell, played at DeSoto and Texas A&M and briefly in the NFL. And one Logan Loki at Denton Geyer.
Oh, wow.
Derek Loki's kid.
This class may have more name IDs, and that's just a few. There's others. This class may have more name IDs than any class in a while. And I just wanted to make them feel old, Jordan.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a few more for y'all. Vince Young's son,
there's a lot
Jordan
in
Young.
Yeah,
He's
BY
2028 at Houston Kincaid. He's on the basketball team with Rashard Lewis Jr.
He's more of a hooper. Yeah.
Wait, what? With Rashard Lewis' son?
Yeah, they all go to
Houston Kincaid has Rashard Lewis Jr. and Vince
Jay
Young's
Morenza's son plays football. They're in the same grade.
Yeah. Also, James Scare, he's at the Woodlands College Park. He's a tight end edge rusher. His grandpa is Ted Corey, Longhorn legend.
His dad's Jason Scare, was a hooper at Oklahoma State Final Four team and at Rice.
Yeah. And
there's a ton of guys.
Brian Arakpo Jr. from my neck of the woods in Lake Travis. Also, Rod, I know you went to Houston Lamar, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Were you there with Brandon LaFell?
No, it was after me.
Now you made
he was closer to me.
Yeah,
that made
LaFell was closer to me.
Right there.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if he was there with you, but Tyrone Green, who was on the Houston Lamar staff whenever Brandon LaFell was there, is now the head coach at Shadow Creek. And that's how his son ended up there.
Wow.
And if you ask anyone on the Shadow Creek staff, as good as Jalen Adai is, I think he's consensus top 3 receiver on every site in 2028. BJ LaFell could be even better.
Yeah, he's the best athlete in that school. Yeah.
They're super high on BJ. He plays QB. He can play receiver. He can play safety. He's on varsity this year. He'll be taking turns at all 3 positions.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's 2029. He's even younger.
Yes.
Well, I think he even runs track.
They moved him up to varsity at the end of his freshman year, so he got some varsity snaps year 1 too. LaFell.
Hey.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
And Rod, and that makes me feel old, and I'm older than you guys because we're getting to that age where a lot of the guys that we covered, their kids are coming up.
Oh, that's brutal.
But right now in 2028, Joseph Adai's kid's the most highly ranked of those. We'll see. I think Chris Whaley's kid's got a real chance.
And what does he play? Chris Whaley's kid.
He plays a little everything. He's kind of he's football, but he plays at Atlanta High School, small school, so he literally has to play wide receiver. He can take a snap as a wildcat. He rushes off the edge. You can play him at safety. He's 6'4", about 215, and plays at the top of the square in basketball. He's a big time athlete.
Wow. All right. Good stuff there, gentlemen. Good stuff. That's a nice little nugget. Okay, let's get to some questions, and then we'll approach the end of our live stream here. How about this one from Doug Haywood? He wants to know, good afternoon, gentlemen. What's the latest on John Meredith High School eligibility? Yeah, hot topic among folks. Did he discuss it on the? They didn't discuss that on the McAfee show, right?
No.
To my knowledge, he did not.
It's going to an appeal. It's going to a UIL appeal right now. And then if whatever happens with that appeal is going to determine next step for him.
Okay. All right. I hope he plays. My advice has been go play somewhere, and I'm sure he would have that option considering the level of prospect that he is. And if you doesn't want to play a whole season, doesn't have to, but you'd be surprised the regression that happens in a skill set when you don't get the live football reps. You can train for football all you want.
Right.
Marcus, as you know, training for how you feel about that, Marcus, actually as a player. What do you
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I said earlier, I agree with you. Every time you've said it, I've always been like nodding my head if I'm watching the stream or listening to it, on a playback, because it's just something about the repetition, whether it's, actually being on the field and getting the reps, even in between, when you're waiting on one of your teammates, getting the mental reps, and just staying in much closer to game shape. You can train all you want. It's really hard to replicate. There's been a handful of guys, I guess, that have done it, but more times than not, when you see a guy sitting out a full season that early in their development still, and to you and Jordan's point of him, not having played a ton of games at the position to this point either, I think those would be really valuable reps he would miss out on if he doesn't find somewhere to get something in this fall.
Yeah. Are they just cracking down on this? Because this is like they got 2 of these now, right?
I got a theory on this.
Okay.
So what I'll just say what I find to be interesting is if you look at his district, right? To my understanding, to some degree, like the fellow coaches in the district get to weigh in. And when you look at who's in his district, and the talent that those squads have amassed, I would just say it seems a little hypocritical to me. And that most likely they just didn't want to have to deal with John Meredith being in their district.
I got you. Okay.
I would say this about North Crowley. For years, Duncanville was the most talented. When I walked in, I used to say Duncanville had 30 to 35 Division I players freshman through senior year. If I watched the weight room workout and just watch guys roll around. North Crowley's got probably 25 to 30 D1 kids over there right now. They are very, 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 very talented. Very talented. Ray Gates, the former coach out in North Texas, did an amazing job. North Crowley's always had tons of talent, but kids have moved out. A lot of them
played at Aledo.
They go to Aledo.
Like
Jonathan Gray lived right over by North Crowley High School. So that Coach Ray Gates started keeping those guys home. Then they started having success. Now they're the first to build an indoor track facility in Texas. It's going to be an amazing facility. But to Marcus's point, it's funny. Duncanville's basketball coach, a guy I've known a long time, David Peavy, was suspended a year for recruiting players. To Marcus's point, it's pretty interesting.
And one of those players was his stepson too, which makes that even funnier.
Exactly. That was a BS. That was a BS deal by the UL. I'll call that one right now. He was dating the mom for multiple years. The kid moved to Coppell. Why would he not come play at Duncanville? They were dating for a long time here. This isn't like something fake. That was a real relationship. Hell, they've been in Orlando. David Peavy now coaches Southeastern Prep, where Beckham Black plays. That was a BS ruling by UL. I'll say that. I did not agree with that.
And I can kind of break down the process so it makes a bit more sense. Jerry or Rod, Marcus, if I'm wrong, call me out on it. But to my understanding, whenever you transfer from a school to another school, you have to fill out your PAPF, athletic participation form. So does your head coach of the program you're leaving. There's a box. Did this player leave or is he transferring for athletic purposes? That coach can either check it or he doesn't. If he checks it, the UIL is going to look into it and they will discover if you move for athletic reasons. Now, they don't have to prove you move for athletic reasons, but you have to prove you didn't move for athletic reasons. So that's where it gets kind of rough. So the thing that makes the UIL such a case-by-case basis with this is in Austin, a kid isn't going to be able to transfer from Lake Travis to Dripping Springs. Something's going to happen. Someone will fill out that. I'm just using them as an example in parts of Houston. In South Dallas, they're not checking that box, even if they know damn well that kid is moving for athletic reasons. It depends on where you're at. In some districts, everyone has blood on their hands. They're not checking any boxes.
Right.
In other districts, they're not going to let that slide. That's 2 wins that just walked out the door sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be interesting. And on top of that, too, let's say he transferred from Euless Trinity to LD Bell. That's a school in that district. If the Euless Trinity coach, regardless if he checked he moved for athletic purposes or not, all coaches in that district have to vote he's eligible. Every single one of them has to say he's good. But since he's moving to North Crowley, which is in a separate district, I don't know what the Euless Trinity head coach did in this situation, but at North Crowley, someone in that district voted against this.
Yes,
so a head coach
was getting at.
That's where I'm going, right? Somebody in that district that probably has a pretty decent amount of talent, and probably multiple somebodies in that district just didn't want to see John Meredith in there, added to an already stacked North Crowley roster.
Ooh, man, I love that kind of drama. That's good.
That's I-20. That's I-20 drama, and it happens in football and basketball, man. It's real.
That is. All right. Before we're gonna answer 2 more super chats before we get out of here. Jerry, but would you do us a favor and tell the folks about our friends over at Hayes City Store?
Yeah, there are very few restaurants that once you go to, you immediately know they're just special. Hayes City Store is one of those places. I can attest to that. First time I went down there with a good buddy, Jason Watts, to watch college football, it was special. It was a great atmosphere, guys. Great food at Scratch-Made Texas Comfort Food. They got the famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. All of it's absolutely delicious. All of it's from scratch. There's also live music 6 nights a week with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice house, which is perfect for game days. I bet they're packed for some World Cup coming up this weekend. And they even have brunch served from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. Hayes City Store is dog-friendly, and they have a tree net for kids. Don't mix the two. Join the folks at Hayes City Store and bring the whole crew. For more information, check out the website at HayesCityStoreTX.com. Hayes City Store, it's uniquely Texas. Kind of like on Texas football.
That's right. Thank you, Jared. And also, while we're thanking sponsors, let's thank our friends at Garage Beer one more time. The garage is always open, especially to get the weekend started. No better way to do it by popping the top on an ice-cold Garage Beer. Listen to that. Oh, see, that sounds perfect sound. That's like they had that on the commercial. But friends at Garage Beer, it's crisp, it's refreshing, only 95 calories, beer-flavored beer, but one of my favorite light beers, and it's pretty much anywhere you do your grocery shopping, anywhere you get your spirits or your favorite beers. Our friends at Garage Beer, they're pretty much out there because the good word is getting out about the great product they have. Not trying to impress you with the fancy ingredients or the rich history or the secret brewing techniques. Nope, all you care about is that it's great tasting, which it is, and it's only 95 calories. Thank you very much to our friends at Garage Beer. The garage is always open. All right, 2 super chats to end the live stream from Juan. Thank you, Juan. We appreciate your kindness. The first one is from Juan. Says, Jared, how many highs and was Meredith one?
Meredith absolutely was one. So I'm sorry I didn't. Sorry, John, we don't agree on the Wednesday night thing. Deciding last night or Thursday night thing. Yeah, we got 3 out there.
Oh, okay. I like that. 3 of them.
And we will be adding to that number.
All right. There's definitely a lot of momentum now. I mean, you can, right? Your top, 4 of your, I think 4 of your top recruits have come in the last, few weeks here?
Yeah.
In the class, like overall. So you're starting to get some of those.
By the way, Texas has risen into the top 10 in the rankings. Yeah. This time of year, it's always, a lot of fluctuation, but with the little run Texas has been on here, they've risen to the top 7, top 8 in class rankings. And they're definitely set up as long as you hold your serve with Easton Royal, which I like Texas chances, but you still got to go do it. If they hold on to Easton Royal, with who I think they could add. I think Texas will be right there in that fight for that top 5 class, and will be inside the top 5 more than likely by August.
All right. Juan also wants to know, thank you for the super chat, Juan. Did you see in his interview, Meredith said he wanted to do something different. Did people want him to go to Texas A&M?
Jordan, did he mention any of that with you?
So when I talked to them, he mentioned – he was kind of relieved to have the decision out of the way. And I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but he said there was a lot of pressure under him to make a certain decision, but he wanted to do his own thing. Kind of strange because we pretty consistently heard throughout this spring, the mother and surrounding family preferred Texas, preferred Austin. We did hear several times through this process that A&M squeezed him to commit. I know they did it on the unofficial visit he took to College Station before he took 2 trips to Austin. And I know that backfired because Texas was excited when they heard that they squeezed him, and that backfired. So when he talks about pressure, I don't know if that's just the A&M staff or the A&M fan base too, or if there were some people at North Crowley or in his outside family that wanted A&M. But the way I took it was that crystal balls went in for A&M in like September, October. They were viewed as the leader from that point on until about April or March, whenever he took those 2 visits to Texas. So whenever a kid is trending to A&M for a long time, then starts trending to Texas, A&M fans caring about that goes way up, right? So I think that was kind of what he meant with the pressure on him to go to A&M, but he obviously chose Texas.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. All right, thank you for the super chat. One more, last one of the day. Rocky Pete, thank you for the super chat. Says thanks to OTF for an amazing week of coverage and interaction. Donating to Jerry's Jerky Fund. Hope you're doing okay with the lack of recruits to follow out at the airport today. I appreciate you regardless of what Josie says. Thank you, Rocky P. Appreciate it.
I will use. Thank you. I'll use that. I'm going to be on the road next week, man. We're headed east.
All right. That's why, that's why we got a great team. We got a lot of guys on the road trying to get you the absolute best coverage you can get of Texas football. So thank you guys for the super chat. We appreciate that one. Rocky P means a lot to us. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. Nobody does it better than Matthew. He's the real MVP. Marcus, appreciate you dropping in as well, brother.
Yes,
always a great time. Jordan, thank you for the hard work. Great job today too, being there for the John Meredith announcement. And Jerry, appreciate you getting out to the airport, man. You probably got the hookup out there. I don't even know. I mean, do they know you out there? You got people like Norm from Cheers when you walk in?
There's some people they give you looks at this point. Yeah. I think one of the airport security guys wonders why I'm there so much.
I think they probably know.
But the good thing is nobody's walked up and asked me any questions that would lead me to believe they know who. Like, hey, this guy's here too much. So you haven't been asked, hey, why do I always see you here? Yeah, that's not. It's only 3 weekends a year, though. It's really only 3 weekends a year.
That's true. See, it feels like more than that because Jerry works so hard. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate that. Happy Juneteenth. USA up 2-0 on Australia. That's a beautiful thing. And congratulations to John Meredith on announcing his commitment to the University of Texas. For Jordan and for Jerry and for Marcus and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Papers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Welcome.